Good evening. I'm Chief Pamela Smith, and I'm joined by Executive Assistant Chief Jeffrey Carroll. This evening, we are releasing the body-worn camera footage of the fatal officer-involved shooting that occurred last weekend in the 2500 block of Marionberry Avenue Southeast. As with all series of force incidents, with the next of kin's consent, MPD releases body-worn camera footage from the involved officers and a community briefing, which is a video explanation of the incident. This process is pursuant to the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Amendment Act of 2022. Additionally, like we've done for every fatal officer-involved shooting, MPD releases a full recording from the individual's officers' body-worn cameras. The only redactions in the videos are those that are required by law. I want to emphasize that any loss of life is a tragic outcome for the family and for our community. This incident remains under investigation by MPD's Forced Investigation Team. The entire case, circumstances, and evidence will be independently reviewed by the United States Attorney's Office. Additionally, MPD's Internal Affairs Division will conduct an administrative review of the incident to determine if there were any violations of policy. We will continue to be transparent as we investigate this incident as long as it does not compromise the investigation. The community briefing and full clips from the individual officers involved's body-worn camera have been posted on our website under the community briefing page. I will take any questions that you may have at this time.
Do you know why the family changed their mind to have this video release?
Well, I do not know. What I do know is that the family was afforded the opportunity, the next of kin, pursuant to statute, was afforded the opportunity to review the body-worn camera footage on Monday of last week. They did share with us later on the following day that they did not want the body-worn camera footage released, and as we would typically do with any request of a family member, we posted it on the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and Justice webpage with the notification of the fact that the family did not want it released.
I know the individual was unresponsive for 10 minutes. What did officers do in those 10 minutes? Did they go try and talk with him? Did they go and try to see if his car door was open? Maybe they get the gun off his lap before he was responsive again?
Well, that is still a part of the investigation, but what I would tell you is that in those types of instances, and particularly in this one, the officers were clearing the area of any individuals or individual persons or bystanders who may have been around. They were also using their police vehicle to box in the individual's vehicle, and they were also attempting to create a plan on how they would respond or engage when they were notified by other officers that there was individual movement inside the car.
Anytime you have an officer involved shooting, it's always tough on the officers, it's tough on the individual who was killed and their family.
And it's tough on community.
How tough is this on everybody involved?
It's a very unfortunate situation, and as you talk about it being tough for the family, tough for the officers, but it's also tough on the community, which is why I was really, really intentional. I know it's late in the day, but once the family's attorney reached out to us on Saturday to advise us or inform us that the family would like the video released, we did everything we could to ensure that the video was up and ready to go and released to the public. I know it's late in the day, and we would like to have done it earlier, but unfortunately this is the time period that it will be going out.
Chief, there's a bit in the video where it's slowed down and we see like a red circle. Are you able to just walk us through what's taking place or just break it down for the community as they watch this slowed down version moments before the shooting?
That version is really to kind of give a depiction of the fact that, you know, we know that there was an incident that was taking place, and oftentimes when there's a body-worn camera footage, you see it from one perspective, and what we wanted to do was to give the community the opportunity to see it from different angles. In that particular video clip that you're referring to, the officer has his weapon in the window of the driver's side of the vehicle. The individual reaches up, he's grabbing the officer's weapon, and what you will see is there is an exchange of words, and the officer disengages, discharges his firearm, and what you will see is the individual's firearm that is dropped from his left hand onto his lap.
Chief, can you talk about that moment a little more? Is it standard protocol to have your gun come into the window of a car and be within arm's length?
That is a part of the investigation.
Chief, how would you describe the dangerousness of this situation?
Well, what I will say is that, you know, as you know, our officers recover firearms off the streets of the District of Columbia almost daily. This year, we've recovered almost, if not over 3,000 guns from the street. Last year, we surpassed that number. And we know the risks that are involved when we are out there, when our officers are out there every single day attempting to ensure that we keep this city safe. And so it is risky, and it is serious, and it is a dangerous situation for anyone. I mean, what we want to do in this particular case is ensure that we are sharing the information that occurred via the body-worn camera footage with the community so that we can move this case along to the appropriate U.S. Attorney's office so that they can conduct the appropriate criminal investigation in this case.
Given that danger, I mean, will there be a change to protocols for incidents like this? I know we saw some officers potentially in the line of fire from their own fellow officers who are on the passenger side versus, on the driver's side. Will this change any sort of protocols?
So what we do in any of instance, whether it's an officer-involved shooting, whether it's any type of incident that occurs, a review of such this nature where we're looking at the body-worn camera footage, there will be a recommendation made to us either by the U.S. Attorney's Office and or by our Internal Affairs Office. We will also have our Use of Force Review Board to also review the results of the investigations, and then we will take into consideration all of the recommendations that are made to us with respect to the policy or training that we may need to do with our agency.
Chief, we're learning that Justin Robinson was with Cure the Streets. What's the department's relationship with violence interrupters in the city?
Well, I can only speak about the little bit of time before I arrived, and I think that the city has been very instrumental in working with our violence interrupters. I think the programs have been certainly instrumental in helping us mediate issues and I'll say conflict resolution, conflict that occurs within our district, and the violence interrupters have been very instrumental in supporting us, I believe, with the crime reduction that you have seen across the District of Columbia.
Chief, some people who view the video may wonder why the officers couldn't have used that ballistic shield to open the car door and try and disarm him. I mean, people in the community are not police officers.
That is
Maybe,
correct.
We don't know whether that would be even protocol to do something like that. What would you say about that?
Well, what I would say is that, again, it will be revealed during the investigation. I cannot get into the thought process of the officer. I mean, I think you stated it yourself, how dangerous these situations can be from time to time, and what I would like to be able to do is wait for the results of the investigation to come back in order to determine what the next steps will be. I do not know that at this time.
What was your reaction to seeing the video, your first reaction when you saw it?
My first reaction is, anytime there's a loss of life, it's a tragic thing for our community, whether it's via an officer-involved shooting, whether it's one of our officers who loses his or her life, or whether it's a community member that loses his or her life, not necessarily in this situation, but in any situation. And I'm always bothered and disturbed by it. But again, one of the things I have to do as the chief of police with respect to this agency and with this community is to make sure that we're being transparent, which is why we wanted to ensure that this video was released as quickly as possible.
I think I saw either a family member or a community member had said that Justin was just trying to move the gun out of his face. What's your response to that?
I don't have a response to that because I was, number one, I was not on scene, and I can't articulate what anyone was thinking at that time.
To the family who said that they did want it released, they just wanted an unedited version released, what do you say to that?
Well, what I say to that is that, as I've stated earlier, is that we will release the entire body-worn camera footage with the exception of the redactions that are required by law. All law enforcement personnel's face will not be redacted, but anyone who is not necessarily engaged in the incident, maybe a passerby or someone like that, the decedent, their faces will be redacted, and that is the only thing that we will, if you want to call, edit or redact in the video. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Yep, thank you.